the new Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, and this phone will make iPhone users sweat or switch. Hi everyone, this is JD, your gadget review friend. Welcome, and welcome back to Gadget Rev Now. Remember those McLaren Edition phones with top-of-the-line specs? It's now a regular phone. Those are made to battle the performance of iPhones, making them the counterpart. I think some people see Pixel phones to be the direct competitor of iPhones since Android OS was popularized by Google and they make their own phone. It is true, but for anyone who loves over-the-top Android experience, a different kind of experience outside iOS, Samsung created the perfect phone for Android users that would make iPhone users envy. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 bigger storage capacity and 200 megapixel camera might be enough to make iPhone owners sweat. Oh, I know for sure they want one. In terms of hardware, this phone has undoubtedly the best specs out there. In terms of camera, this is one of the best, if not the best zoom smartphone. And in terms of sheer performance and Android updates, this is one of the fastest and longest you can get on any smartphone, even beating the Pixel 7 Pro. And every year they just keep adding bigger and bigger numbers. Honestly, the price might be a stretch for many, but also an over-the-top experience having a dedicated pen. The king of big numbers is back, and today we'll talk about the new features, unbox it, and do a camera tour. Let's go to work. First, let's talk about the new features of this phone. If you want to jump to the unboxing experience or camera tour, I will leave the timestamp on the description below. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the 200 megapixel main camera. The high-resolution camera is the biggest story of the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, making the jump from 108 megapixel of last year to 200 megapixel of this year. That doesn't mean you'll be taking 200 megapixel or 50 megapixel photos all the time, though you can technically do it with phone's huge storage. It bins 16 pixels together to improve light gathering and shoot smaller but better looking 12 megapixel image. Samsung also claimed that the main camera optical image stabilization is more robust this year, correcting 3 degrees of shake versus 1.5. You can definitely feel this on handheld shots and video stabilization. The other 3 rear cameras on this device remain unchanged, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide plus a dedicated telephoto of 3x and a 10x telephoto, both with 10 megapixel cameras. It can digitally zoom at 100x. The selfie camera is now down to 12 megapixels, a drop from 40 megapixels of the Samsung S22 Ultra. This time the selfie shooter has dual pixel face detection autofocus for a more accurate shooting. Right off the bat, if you compare 50 or 200 megapixel image to a regular 12 megapixel, there's a big difference in terms of colors and sharpness. You will see that the image on 200 megapixel is livelier and softer compared to the over-sharpened but brighter 12 megapixel sample. The videos are pretty solid too with its stabilization. I love the colors and how fast the focus speed is. I mean, you can probably make your own YouTube channel on your S23 Ultra, and some people may do that, no doubt. There's also a slight upgrade on the video quality of this phone. You can now shoot 8K 30 FPS from the previous 24 FPS of S22 Ultra. You can choose between 0.6, 1x, 3x, and 10x. Although I prefer shooting with the ultra-wide and the main camera, the stabilization on 3x and 10x are pretty impressive too. Remind you that iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max doesn't shoot 8K videos. This is the future of mobile videography. So this is the video recording of Samsung Galaxy S23 using the selfie camera, UHD or 4K at 30 FPS. And this is 8K video recording, 30 FPS using the rear camera. We will have an in-depth review and comparison of this phone, so stay tuned. And this is the ultra-wide lens of Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, 4K at 30 FPS. I would like to make a shout out to Army and Clarence for watching this video. Thank you for supporting the channel. In terms of performance, this phone will easily top the chart at the beginning of this year. With either 12 or 16 gigs of RAM, you can easily play any games and multitask on this phone. While playing Genshin Impact, Call of Duty, PUBG, and Mobile Legends on S22 Ultra is a breeze, Qualcomm brings a more power-efficient and faster processor on its second-generation Snapdragon 8. Samsung also promised a Snapdragon-powered S23 Ultra globally, so the performance of this phone will not change regardless of your region. There's also an upgrade on the GPU performance as the Adreno 740 is faster and more power efficient than last year's Adreno 730. You will have 3 storage options from 256, 512 gigs, and 1TB on the newest and fastest UFS 4.0. And to top up the performance, Samsung promises 4 years of software upgrade and 5 years of security patches for all S23 series. Meaning if you're buying this phone today, you're good until 2028. That's a lot of years if you're considering using this phone for a long period of time. Samsung panel is one of the best screens in the world, and this year, they didn't plan to change the reputation, and it wasn't changed from last year but just smarter. It still has a huge 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X with 120Hz refresh rate and 440p resolution. This panel can reach 750 nits of max brightness. There are a couple of subtle changes you can see from the surface. First, the display itself includes a more battery-efficient materials. Samsung has also taken its Vision Booster tone mapping a step further. It doesn't just optimize the screen for viewing in a very bright light, it now adapts to a wider range of lighting conditions throughout the day. Going back to the discussion of iPhone, there might be a good reason why even the competition Apple buy the screen panels from Samsung. This phone also features a very slight exterior redesign, well, not really a redesign but borrowing from the older look of the Note series. Honestly, this feels like a phone from last year. The long edges of the phone are slightly less curved, so there's more of a flat surface to grip when you're holding the device. The back panel on the screen also curves around the side a bit less, so you might be less likely to run your S Pen off the edge of the device, which tends to happen with a more rounded design. And with the curved edge, the tempered glass protection will be out of business. This phone also continues to have an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor at the bottom, so you need a TPU screen protector if you want to protect your front glass, which has Gorilla Glass Victus 2. But with or without the screen protector and case, the premium build of S23 Ultra will definitely stand the test of time with its aluminum frame and Gorilla Glass protection stick to both front and back of the phone. It has the same armor aluminum side and IP68 rating, which can withstand water 1.5 meters below in 30 minutes. The battery was literally borrowed from last year with its 5000 mAh and the average charging of 45 watts. With its battery-efficient processor, according to some lab tests online, this is so much better than last year's S22 Ultra. On my personal test, I believe this is true because this can easily last me a day without charging. I will have a separate video of my ultimate battery test for Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. I wish Samsung opted for a faster 60 watts or 80 watts fast charging. I believe they're just playing safe because another battery explosion will definitely ruin the chance of this phone to be one of the top phones this year. This is a quick unboxing of Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, and with a small box, I don't expect anything special inside the box with the exception of the phone. First, we have the SIM ejector tool. We have the manual or the Samsung Quick Start Guide. We also have the USB Type-C cable end-to-end. There's no charging on the box if you're wondering, or maybe not. And you have the phone. Checking the buttons quickly, you have the power and volume button on one side. You have the mic on top. There's nothing on the other side. And you have the S Pen, the speaker, microphone, charging port, and SIM tray at the bottom. So that's everything you need to know. Now let's check the camera of this phone. So after the new features and the unboxing experience, let's talk about the camera of this phone and let's see what Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra offers this year. Opening the Samsung camera app under Photo tab, you have 4 focal lengths from 1x, 0.6, 3x, 10x, and 100x digital crop. On the other side, you have the resolution, you have the timer, flash, motion JPEG, and you also have presets with different colors, saturation, and white balance. These are the sample photos coming from the Photo tab. Under the Video tab, you have different resolutions from 8K, 4K, Full HD, and 720p, all in 30 FPS. You also have the same filters from the Photo tab. There's also a Super Steady Shot which uses the image stabilization of the phone for a smoother video. It uses the ultra-wide and main sensor. This is the video sample of this phone. On Portrait tab, you have two focal lengths, 1x and 3x, and here you can change the skin smoothness from 0 to 8. These are the sample photos coming from the portrait mode. And lastly, under More tab, we will focus on few important things like the Pro Video, where you can change the resolution and FPS of the video. You have the Portrait Video, where you can have the subject in focus and the background blur. It is available on Full HD and 4K. And lastly, the Pro mode, where you can change the values of the camera and also shoot on JPEG, JPEG plus RAW, and just full RAW. So this is the unboxing, full review, and camera tour of Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. I won't lie, this phone is expensive, but will give you everything you need and more. Comparing this with the competition like the iPhone 14 Pro and other Android phones, this phone was constructed with the best possible internals with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 12 or 16 gigs of RAM, and higher capacity storage. It is a dedicated S Pen for doodling and note-taking, and obviously the biggest change, which is the 200 megapixel camera with the addition of 8K 30 FPS video and 4K portrait video. Right now, this is the phone to beat and would make every iPhone user sweat or switch. And there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll continue to compare this phone in our channel, maybe the iPhone 14 Pro, the OnePlus 11, and Pixel 7 Pro, so stay tuned. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.